Good morning, friends. Friday morning. Hanging out together a little. Just sitting in the kind of post-chanting pleasure that we evoked yesterday when we spoke about pleasure and meditation. We used the chanting to kind of evoke that way. It sort of both wakes up and harmonizes the nervous system. All right. So yeah, welcome wherever you are, however you are, whatever's alive in heart and mind this morning, or this evening, or tonight, or wherever it is where you are. For most of us, it's morning time. We've been just exploring these different terms this week, just coming up with some kind of quality and reflecting on it a little bit as a way into meditation, as a way of bringing alive that quality, a way of either including that quality or evoking it or orientating our attention to it, or expressing it, and seeing how that can be the case both in the formal practice of meditation and in the informal practice of the way we engage with life in general. It's kind of always my interest, in a way, is that we don't see our formal practice really as separate from our informal practice, and that not just as an idea, but that we actually make that connection again and again, like how those two fit together, how my formal practice informs my daily activity, how my daily activity happens in the light of my meditative practice, so that how those two really feed and support and are inseparable from one another, so that we really have the sense that, oh, my life is my practice. There's no place where one ends and there's nothing that's outside of that being the case. It always strikes me as kind of odd / comic / sad in a way when somebody talks about, oh well, I did my practice this morning and then or I practiced for half an hour yesterday. I mean, of course I know what they mean. They mean they sat in meditation for that much time. But there's something in expressing it. Oh, I did my practice. As if it's like, and now what? What's this then? What's this? This isn't this, whatever it might be. Meeting a friend in a cafe, going about one's work, getting bored or frustrated or confused about something, enjoying some activity, all of that. Right? All of the informal stuff. It's like, what does it take for us to have a sense that our practice is always on? Not in an effortful way, not in a way we're trying to get somewhere or do something, but just in a way that's like, oh yeah, this, that we're basically what we talked about as resilience the other day, basically that sense of steady, present and open, welcoming, curious, in the face of it all coming and going. So that sense, of that when we sit in meditation, we're being contactful right here. Curious. Oh, what is this? Oh, we're kind of facing in as directly as we can to just the miracle that we're here at all, that we're awake, the miracle that there's that which we call consciousness, that our lives are switched on. And then fostering a sense of care, gentleness, allowing. Yeah. And then it's hard to argue. On the one hand, if meditation is this kind of very immediate and intimate and direct way of cultivating contact and curiosity and care, well, it's hard to argue with the fact that those three qualities are in, we're in desperate need of those in the wider field of our lives. There's no moment, there's no relationship, there's no experience, there's no situation that doesn't definitely benefit from us being a little more contactful, a little more curious, and a little more caring. All right. So, what quality today? First, I thought about gratitude as a quality. Like the way we can just do that in breath, just appreciating. Wow, breath is happening. That's a miracle. Body is warm. That's a miracle. Heart is pumping. That's a miracle. Feelings can happen. Thoughts can happen. Just actually appreciating the very, very ordinary miracle and taking that into our day. It's not even a sense of looking for things to be grateful for. Can be that as well. But more, it's like settling into some appreciation for that which is already a blessing, a miracle, a support. So that as much as possible can become one of our sort of default heart states, one of resting in a sense of being appreciative for, grateful towards, feeling blessed by that which is a support in our life, that which is a blessing in our life, the very fact of our life. So I thought about gratitude as a quality, and I just laid it out a little bit. But I thought, we sort of talked about pleasure yesterday, and maybe those are quite close. So for those of you who would have liked gratitude, well, you can practice that yourself anyway, right? Any moment, any time. But I thought maybe also nice to invoke the quality of simplicity. Usually the word that's used for simplicity in Pali, the word that Buddha used, gets translated as renunciation. And renunciation makes people fearful. Ooh. Renunciation, that sounds like, that sounds harsh, that sounds austere, that sounds like doing without, that sounds like the opposite of pleasure, which we were speaking about yesterday. But interestingly, and one might look at the monastics and a monastic lifestyle and the monastic codes of conduct in the Buddhist tradition, for example, and it might seem like, look at living a monastic life. That looks austere and that looks like devoid of pleasure, etc. So that's not the way it's actually held in the tradition. One way of looking at that, just look at these tankas. They're full of color, full of life, full of beauty, right? Full of like everyone in them is kind of has radiant auras, right? And how does that fit with the sense of renunciation or simplicity? So maybe the quality of renunciation, of relief, of simplifying, of unburdening the heart, is not about austerity and harshness and a lack of pleasure. No, maybe it's about giving up that which is unnecessary, giving up that which is unhelpful, giving up that which burdens us, so that actually we have access more to a real contact with that which is beautiful, that which is free, that which is nourishing. So it's always interesting, I think, just to examine your relationship with, or your assumptions about, simplicity or renunciation, and just have that sense of what would be worth giving up. Because often it's like, that classic image of the monkey fist, right? They used to apparently try to trap tries to trap monkeys. The story may be apocryphal or not, I don't know, but there's some sort of coconut bowl with a hole in it and then some nuts, and the monkey would reach in to grab the nuts and then would tighten its fist around the nuts, which would make its hand too big to get out of the hole. But it refused to let go of the nuts, which would have freed it because it was, fixated on the nuts, and they apparently could trap the monkey that way. So, of course, that's that kind of image. Shows us the trap of being unwilling to give up, to renounce, to let go, to unburden ourselves. It's kind of tragic that the monkey would lose its freedom over a small handful of nuts, right? So we might ask ourselves, well, what might I be depriving myself, over what might I be depriving myself of freeness and ease, a quiet, joyful heart, the boundless openness and spaciousness of life, and the clarity of a free consciousness. Over what might I deprive myself of that through my fixation on the sense that I need that, I need to be like that, I need to get that, I need to hold on to that. So simplicity is, on the one hand, just a way of meeting anything and everything, as we'll see in meditation, just being simple in the way we sit. Simple means renouncing expectations of how mind should be, or how body should be, or how world should be. Renouncing the reactivity we might have to sounds, unpleasant sounds around us, or unwelcome thoughts. Oh yeah, these things are worth renouncing. Like renouncing reactivity, renouncing expectations, renouncing judgments. That doesn't mean that expectations or judgments or whatever don't arise. It means that when they arise, we bow to them and let them go by. Right? That's being simple. Expecting that I shouldn't have any judgments, that's not simple. Right? Then you get in a very tight or conflictual relationship with judgment. Expecting that I shouldn't have expectations, that's not simple. It's very complicated. Now you've got two layers of expectations: the expectations that are already habitual, and now the expectation that you shouldn't have those expectations. Oh dear. So friends, let's be simple in the way that we inhabit this moment. Simple in the way we sense into bodily life. Simple in the way that we allow breathing to come and go naturally. Simple in the way that we just recognize we're already here. We're already awake. Experience is unfolding quite naturally by itself. No need for interference. No need for struggle. Nothing to reach for. Nothing to resist. Nothing to retain. It's in this invitation to simplicity that we sit together in meditation. Please take your seat. Simply feeling your way into your posture, into the weightiness of body sitting, into the dignity and uprightness, the length of your spine. simply just scanning, checking, sensing through your body, and any tensions that you find, seeing if they can just soften. Simply entering into meditation. Being simple means not really doing anything. You're not trying to control your attention. You're not trying to force your posture. Sitting as if what your attention most wants actually is to settle. As if all you have to do is just let yourself be present. Just letting your attention settle. Just letting bodily sensations reveal themselves. Just letting your mind settle into a condition of a certain brightness and steadiness, and openness and caringness. Just letting your breath come and go freely and naturally. Just like this. Simply sensing. Simply breathing. Renouncing effort and expectations and ideas. And tensions. Simply allowing experience to come and go. Simply riding your attention through the rhythm of breathing. Be simple. Don't try to make something happen. Don't try to stop anything from happening. Relax. You're already here. Sitting as much as possible in this simplicity. Gently renouncing complexities, tensions. When you notice your attention's gotten caught in some kind of extraneous thought or unnecessary tension, just seeing how gracious you can be and giving it away. And I'm going to step away for just a couple of minutes from the computer while I leave you sitting in this simple meditative space. Letting your meditation be a process of finding out, moment by moment, how to be simple with the way your body is right now. How to be simple in the way your attention senses into your breath. How to be simple with the thoughts that arise, so that you're not investing in the thinking, getting lost in the thinking. Yet neither are you rejecting or pushing against it. Letting yourself learn moment by moment the art of a simple abiding. Resting into simplicity. Renouncing complexities, tensions, stories. May we renounce our complexities and reactivities, our neuroses and neediness and greediness. May we abide simply, lightly, freely, as we navigate the complexities of the world. There's certain irony this morning that during the meditation and evoking this quality of simplicity, my phone rang, my computer beeped at me with some notification that shouldn't have been there. I had to step away from the computer to deal with a delivery driver, etc. So, usually none of those things happen. And so we evoke simplicity, and then a bunch of things that could be complexities arise. But of course, most essentially, we don't have control about how complex a situation may become. Right? The heart of simplicity is not how much is happening or what is happening around us or to us, but the way in which we engage with it. So, when I had to step away, I could have stepped away in a complicated way. Oh no, I'm having to leave meditation. What will they think of me? Oh no, why did the driver come now? Well, that would have been very complicated, right? Or you just can meet the situation with that spirit of complexity, renouncing expectations and judgments and just doing what needs to be done. And, there's often a paradox that teachings seem to be a lot about effortlessness and simplicity and non-doing. Right? And yet, often if you look at the life of somebody who seems to be an exemplar of those qualities, well, they just look like they have quite a busy or complicated life sometimes, right? And so, and yet it definitely can be the case that one's life can look busy and complicated, right? Being responsible for things, going to places, responding to requests or invitations, etc. And yet the feeling inside is simple, spacious, effortless, sense of not really doing anything. Not really doing anything because rather than being active or proactive or, rather than trying to drive one's life along, there's a sense of being receptive. And then when we're receptive to what happens, we also can be responsive, right? Which is different than being reactive. Reactive has a lot of self in it, Responsive, it's just attunement to the situation, responsive. Responsiveness feels natural, feels simple, feels attuned. So it's maybe helpful reflection as you go into whatever today is for you, whether it's your working day or, it's like, what are the things that stand out today as being possibly complicated? Right? And what might your collusion with the situation be such that makes it complicated? And what might be a way you could meet the stuff of today, the appointments of today, the duties of today, the roles of today, the responsibilities of today? What might be a way you can meet them that has that spirit in the midst of it of simplicity? Right? What, in other words, might be helpful to renounce? What might you give up in the way of resistance or expectation or judgment, right? that might make your engagement with today much simpler. All right, little time for questions. And before the questions, just usual reminder of dharma, but sometimes, or usually I remind a little more on the Friday. It's like, oh, end of the week. If being here has been helpful this week, if it's been supportive this week, then here's the opportunity for you to be helpful and supportive, you know, in helping to keep all of this happening. Sangha Live is quite a, you know, it's a small organization, but nevertheless, it's like 7 or 8 people working for Sangha Live. It's just to keep the platform running and to keep everybody informed of what's happening and to do all the scheduling and the accounting and the software updating and the graphic design and the copywriting and, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot. And so we have, you know, many, many thousands of euros of overheads every month. And there's no way, the only way those costs, those overheads are met are by your dharma. So it's kind of beautiful. It's beautiful not to make a charge for this, but rather to evoke, rely upon, request, you know, your support and that sense of mutuality that's there with it, right? We try to support you the best we can. And then we ask you to support us the best you can, whatever that looks like. So, you know, it may be that depending on your situation, you might be able to make a large donation. You may feel moved to make a large donation. Wonderful. You may feel like you'd love to make a very large and grand offering, but your means are such that actually you can only make a very modest offering. That's okay. You know, a very modest offering made with sincerity of heart is beautiful dharma. You know, dharma is measured in the sincerity of the heart and the, you know, the wisdom of making that accord with your means. So I don't know what might be appropriate. And it may be that you don't feel able to make an offering, or that you're very new to this. You don't even feel like, oh, I'm not making an offering. I'm just checking this thing out. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's why it's an offering, right? Not a charge. Right? And yet it may also be that you have some kind of, you know, relationship now to the platform, and, you know, how easily we can, you know, it's like, oh, we can assume that others will offer, or we can think, oh, I'll donate some other time or something. So all of that's fine, but, you know, it's like there's something that's beautiful and profound. Buddha talks about dharma as a foundation for happiness. So my request would just be, if you make a dharma offering today, connect with it as something that's joyful and happy. You know, oh, offering support, beautiful. You know, I appreciate it. It supports me directly as the teacher this week, supports Sangha Live directly, it supports actually everybody that comes and practices here directly, because, you know, your dharma is what allows us to keep doing this and allows other people to then come and practice here, benefit from what's offered here, support their own practice. So thank you for the dharma that you offer today or any other day. And George has, in a very timely manner, just put in the link there to sangha.live/donate. Thank you. All right, let's have a look. Questions. Notice Elined's just mentioning a dear friend who's having cancer treatment. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for mentioning your friend Denise. And then mentioning her, you know, bringing her into the field here, and that evokes other people's care, compassion, that sense of, you know, care for you, Elined, and for your friend Denise. Yeah. I'm sure she's fortunate to have your support. David says, how does one deal with exhaustion in meditation? I'm not sleeping well and tend to feel myself collapsing when in meditation. Well, a couple of things you can try, David. One, you might try just let yourself collapse. Nothing to do. Let yourself collapse. If you're really tired, and you're not sleeping in bed, and you come to meditation, and you collapse. Let yourself collapse with gentleness. Right, not collapsing as if it's a failure, collapsing with that rhetoric running around. Oh no, if only I was sleeping, this wouldn't happen. What's the matter with me? It's that sense of, we generate a lot of friction, right, with that then makes the sleep more difficult, because with busyness and harshness of mind isn't conducive, right? The sleep, so collapse graciously, collapse graciously. Maybe you can get a few moments of really good rest in meditation, even if you didn't get enough of them during the night. My sleep, I always slept easily and well my whole life, pretty much, until I got COVID, and my sleep's been much less reliable since COVID. Often waking in the middle of the night, like last night, in fact. I went to bed, slept, woke up at 2 a.m. And wide awake till probably about 4:30. So you can't make sleep come, but you can be kind of gracious. That's that simplicity, right? Renouncing expectations and judgments and resistances. Right? Being simple. What's a simple way to be with the fact that I'm awake? Maybe it's just gently sensing. Maybe it's getting up, walking up. I sometimes get up and walk a little bit in the night. Soothing. Or get up and make a couple of herb tea or something, have a drink, just change atmosphere until tiredness comes again, then go back to bed, etc. But so you have to see what works for you, but there's some sense of meeting a situation that can easily generate fear, anxiety, resentment, complaint, judgment, etc. How to be simple with that, how to be simple with the situation rather than aggravate it. Yeah. All right. Nice. A couple of you just offering reflections about where you're at, or what Rivka is calling being a simpleton. Yes, here we are, a Sangha of simpletons. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Really? Is it? It's about 4 years, and about yeah. It is. It's about 4 years. Yeah. Sangha Live was growing before that, but it's about 4 years since we started these the morning daily meditations, which was very much a response to COVID. Yeah. All right. What else? Rosie. Hi, Rosie. Any suggestions on how to not get caught up in other people's drama? Ooh. I notice that sometimes I feel reactive to others' lack of simplicity. You may have answered your notification phone simply, but I feel some anxiety on behalf of others. Yeah, well, I imagine there's probably some historical material there, like feeling overly responsible for others in some way, overly responsible for what they're doing or how they are, as if it reflects on you, or as if it's somehow your job to to fix them or to make them simple or something. Yeah. So yeah, that's the practice. Is one thing we talked about renouncing, right? Renouncing reactivity. That's the simplest way. But sometimes you can't renounce it because you haven't yet understood what's keeping it going, right? So it's one thing to say, just don't get involved in other people's drama. That would be simplest, wouldn't it? Don't get involved in other people's drama. But duh, we all know that would be simpler. But I see that I'm involved in someone else's drama and I can't put it down. Oh, okay. So then what's simple? Not judging oneself for not being able to put it down. Oh, hello, fun. But rather it's like, just let me be gracious with this. Let me be interested in this. How come I can't put it down? It's like watching yourself go through the motions of becoming indignant or judgmental or whatever, and not giving yourself a hard time for it. Just watching it and being curious about it. Right? Oh yeah, this is really exercising me. What does this remind me of? So you get more familiar with it. The more familiar you are with your patterning, even patterns that seem, you know, kind of really crazy or unhelpful or annoying or intense or whatever, the more familiar you let yourself get with those patterns, the less they fool you. So normally when we just act them out, that doesn't make us familiar with them. That reinforces our belief that, you know, I'm right, or I have to do this. But watching them play out, right? Oh, with interest, it's like they become more familiar and they stop being the monsters they once were. So let them be familiar. Let yourself be friendly towards the pattern, and then they won't be, they won't fool you so much. All right, friend. I'm just seeing David's comment. Good. I'm glad that was helpful. Speaking about exhaustion that way. Yeah. Encouraging to collapse gracefully. So 2 things as we end. 1, I've got a day of practice, not tomorrow, but a week after on Saturday. And the Saturday after that, I'll be in London for a day of practice, I think on death reflection, how reflecting on your death can liberate your life. And I'm writing a book about that at the moment. So it seems, you know, teaching a day on that's a good way to sort of support the writing process and hopefully support people in practice. So if you're in or near London, feel free to come along. You can see what I'm doing on my website at martinaylward.com or through Instagram at martinaylward, where somebody is actually managing my Instagram now, which is really great because it means there's a lot more frequently posted relevant information than there was when I was trying to do it myself. Yeah. All right, friends. Thank you for your practice this week. I particularly appreciate just all your kindnesses to each other in the chat, and the way that just those lines on the screen really foster a sense of Sangha, community, of support, of mutuality. Beautiful. May you go simply and graciously through the day. Thank you. And thank you, George, for being here in the background all week, making everything happen and taking care of the tech and of all of us. All right.